Are we just going to get ready to start? Hi, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Bellies are full. My name is Melissa Buskell, and I'm the Director of Graduate Studies and Student Services in the Columbian College of Arts and Sciences, and I will be the moderator for today's faculty panel session. This session is designed to provide you with the perfect opportunity to ask our wonderful here any questions that you have about GW, teaching, research, their experiences, anything that you can think of. I wanted to let you know that we are also live streaming this event on the Columbian College YouTube channel, so welcome to our virtual audience. If our virtual audience has questions, please type them into the chat at any time, and we will address them throughout the session. The structure of the session is that I will soon give our faculty panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about their background and how long they've been teaching here at GW. Then open up with a couple of questions, 2 or 3 questions for our faculty, and then we will open the floor to your questions. Lindsay here has a microphone, so if you do have a question, please just raise your hand and she will come around with the microphone for you. If you do have a question that is specific to a particular panel, let her know, or please let the panel know as well. Great. So we're going to start here with Lauren. If you want to please introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, I'm Lauren Engram. I'm the director of the professional psychology program here at GW, and I've been here just over 25 years. So I've had a lot of wonderful students along the way. You are telling us that we're wonderful faculty, but I want to say the real strength of the university are the students, and they are wonderful students, and we're really glad to see you and welcome you here. My particular research interest is severe mental illness and psychopathology. I have a seminar in that in my program, and then in general, our program has a very active clinic. We see about a little over 7,000 hours of direct services to the community each year.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jocelyn. I'm assistant professor of speech, language, and hearing sciences. I'm also an advisor in the department. So I've been at GW. I'm really new. I started in August. So like you, I'm pretty new. My research interest is in bilingual language development in children with speech and language disorders, and just the treatment and assessment of culturally and linguistically diverse children. So welcome.
Hello, my name is Daniele Podini. I am the chair of the Department of Forensic Sciences, which is exclusively a graduate department, graduate student. I've been here, I came here with the CCAS the first time, so in 2004. Yeah, I've been here ever since. My background is initially law enforcement, so I was in a crime lab in Italy for some time. Then I opened a section of a clinical laboratory, a genetic laboratory, and then eventually I ended up here. The strength of the program is the students, but also the location. We're in Washington, D.C. I was just saying to some of the students at the table that there's the great crime labs in the world, probably in a 50-mile radius, some of which we don't even know they're there. And some of our students actually work there because they tell me I can't tell you where I work, but so welcome.
Thank you for coming. My name's Ryan Engstrom. I'm a professor of geography, but I'm also the director of the data science program here. I've been here since 2005, so 18 years, getting old. It catches up to you. As I said, program, it's probably one of the bigger master's programs here because we do a lot of training on artificial intelligence, deep learning, all that type of stuff. My research uses all those tools to do mapping. I do a lot of work around the world. We're funded by USAID to of different parts of the world. I'm also funded by Gates Foundation to do mapping of deprived areas in sub-Saharan African cities. And there's just a great number of opportunities to do this stuff. I mean, I've worked with the World Bank, the U.S. Census Bureau, the intelligence agencies. We are right here, and that is a big power of it. And the stuff that I do in data science, it's amazing, like how many different applications there are of this stuff and how it's been exploding and all the students getting jobs in all these different places. It's pretty amazing when you see it. Thanks for coming.
Excellent, thank you. So I'm going to kick off with our first question, and I'm going to start with Lauren, and this question is for all of you. But what are the qualities that you think make GW unique and worth the investment?
I'd come back to the students, a really outstanding group of students. I think really collaboration and collegiality. I am thrilled to partner with faculty in the philosophy department, anthropology department. There's sort of an open culture of collaboration. And I think especially as a university, and you're not here just to learn what's already known, you're here to learn and discover new things. And that's fully supported, and that's really what we're about. You're in undergraduate years, you're learning. But at this point, we really want our students and our faculty to be producing new knowledge, and we do that. Really the key point.
So I think one of the great things about GW, many students do come here and they are interested in research, and there's plenty of faculty here doing research and who welcome students in their labs. Several labs, and lots of students have opportunities to volunteer there. I think the location of GW is really great. Like, you are in the city, you're not closed off from the city. The metro is like literally right down the block, and so if you probably wanted to come to DC to be in the city, and so I think that's one of the great things about GW.
Now I'll talk about the faculty. Talked about all the other things, but the faculty of GW is great. I speak for my program, not about the faculty that we have in the forensic science program. All people that have worked in the field. We have part-time faculty that are people that work in the field, that come and teach classes here at GW. So regardless of the discipline, GW, thanks to its location, can kind of harvest the great minds from around the city. And so I think that's one of the greatest things. And obviously internship opportunities and things we already kind of mentioned earlier.
So it makes it harder, but I mean, the big thing for us is location. And also, you think about it, you're not the first group of students that has come through here. Look at our alumni network too. And there is a number of students who have come through and been in the same shoes you're in today. And reach out to them and talk to them. And what did you do? And it's amazing when you talk to the alumni panels and we have those come in and meet with our students, just gives them an idea of, what you can do and the opportunities that are out there. Because it's really hard when you first start out to understand just how many opportunities there are. And it's amazing, like every block, there is an opportunity to do something.
Okay, great. And that leads into my next question, and we'll start with you, Ryan.
Thanks.
This time.
Thanks, Melissa.
So what opportunities are often underutilized by students?
Underutilized. I think the alumni network, one, to my mind. But the first thing that we say in data science and what we try to do, like the first day of orientation, is think about what you're going to do when you graduate and think about, what type of job or opportunity you want to go after, and then plan your courses and ideas based on that. And there is a tremendous amount of support for this. We have a dedicated career coach in our program that helps you be able to do that. And so reach out to these people and reach out to the alumni and think about that. Like, what did they do? How did they do it? And ask at the beginning. And this is one of the things that you really got to do be proactive, because the only person who's most interested in you being successful is you. And so do it. So that's kind of my advice.
Tough question, really. I would say, yeah, what I see in my students, the resource that's most, you said, less utilized is their own kind of entrepreneurial. That's probably not the right word. They need to be their own advocates, and you're, like you said, you're the one that cares about yourself the most, and so you need to be proactive in engaging with the faculty and engage and taking advantage of all the opportunities that GW and its location and its faculty offers you. So I think that in my view is less utilized by our students.
I'm still learning of all the great resources that GW has. One thing that I think might be less utilized is our librarians. I feel like I've had the opportunity to sit down with one of our librarians and open windows that I didn't know. Like, I didn't know how to adjust my Google Scholar settings and all these things. And so there's so much journal articles that we subscribe to. So I think using going to the library and talking with your librarian and trying to navigate those research, finding out all the journals that we have accessible to you, and all the different and unique things that GW has to offer in the library.
Yeah, I would think sometimes students, especially graduate students, underestimate how powerful they are and the connections they have. Um, Nothing makes me happier than to get an email from a student saying, "I read your paper. What are you doing now? And is there anything new?" And that makes my day. And I really encourage our students when they read a journal article or see a piece of something elsewhere on the web, get in touch with the author, get in touch. They'll be thrilled to hear a graduate student is interested in what I'm doing, and that will open doors for you, and it really make interesting connections, not just for that particular course you're in, but career-wise as well. So don't be shy. You're in a special position as a graduate student.
Great. Now we're going to open it up to the floor. So if anybody here has a question, please raise your hand and Lindsay will come around with the microphone. Or if there's any online questions, Adrian at the back there is going to ask on their behalf. Anyone? Okay, great. Yep.
Hello, I'm in the forensic science program. I was just I was just wondering if your classes are more lecture based or if they're more looking at like case studies and scientific literature.
Thank you for breaking the ice of the questions. Now everybody feels more comfortable. So it's a bit of everything. So we have classes that are exclusively in the classroom that have a lab component that students do on their own. Students are in the classroom and in the lab at separate times with the instructor. And there's also classes that are exclusively in the lab. And then there's research opportunities. If you're an MFS student or part of the Master of Forensic Science program, are required per our accrediting body to conduct an independent research project. And that's where I think you really learn, because you have to kind of troubleshoot, problem solve, understand things on your own. And that's probably also the great marketing tool when you actually go out to interview for a job, because crime lab director may be tied into the day-to-day and is always interested in hearing about the research, because our research is trying to kind of take the field a step forward. So we're doing stuff that's not being done, hopefully. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll just keep talking. If there's no more questions. I don't want to over answer it.
I think we have a question online.
Yes, we do have a question online for Professor Engstrom. Can you insight on the current research opportunities and resources in data science, and also about the job opportunities for data science.
Interesting. Those are two good questions. So in terms of research opportunities in data science, we are a very integrated across the university. We work with people in physics, school media, public affairs, biology, all sorts of different programs. And a lot of times, professors and people with labs will ask our students to work on data for them. And so that's usually how somebody has a data set they want to work on, and they'll either hire our students or they'll do it as independent studies or work with those. So we have a lot of opportunities to do that within the program. In terms of job opportunities, that's a great question. As of now, like all of our students are getting jobs. You see the layoffs in some of the big companies. Overall, it's a relatively small number of jobs. What we are starting to see is more and more students getting into smaller companies, not the big names, but like the companies and the government agencies that need to do this and to understand big data and be able to do that. And so there's just a widespread opportunity for different jobs in this. And it's pretty amazing. I go from this panel and I'm walking over to talk about economics. I'm on an economics panel, and they're really starting opportunities in that with the World Bank. And so there's a tremendous number of jobs. Our students are doing well. Do I know the future? If I did, I'd probably be much richer. But I think I just think it's exploding. I mean, create every day is amazing. Everybody has a cell phone and is using it and so forth.
Thank you.
So you've all talked a lot about being in Washington, D.C., and I'm wondering if you can talk about maybe some of the partnerships or some of the research opportunities with the institutions.
Take that to start. So personally, like I've worked with World Bank, Inter-American Development Bank, private companies, a large number of private companies, U.S. Census Bureau, CIA, DIA, NGA. So yeah, there's opportunities. We have in our capstone program, we have a standing thing with the World Bank. And, it's actually closer to my office in this building. And so the whole thing. So those are some of the institutions I've worked with. I don't know what other people have.
We collaborate on research projects with different agencies. ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, has a DNA section, so we work with them. The Montgomery County Crime Lab, the head of the CSI unit there is one of our faculty, and so we have projects with them. With the Armed Forces DNA Identification Laboratory, projects with them. The Secret Service has a laboratory. The director of the lab is actually a former student of ours, and so we've had some students do internships there. There's the DC Crime Lab, and students are doing internships there. There's a laboratory, one of the biggest private laboratories in forensic DNA, that's in Lorton, Virginia, Bodie Technology. So we have actually a research grant that's funded by the Department of Justice that we collaborate on developing new genetic markers for human identity. The FBI, we have some interactions, but no direct project together. And I know I'm missing a few, but a lot of opportunities here, whether it's research collaborations or internship opportunities.
So our department has a speech, language, and hearing clinic. So the community has access to our clinic, And we also send students out for externships. So students get to participate in externships across the DMV. So not only DC, but Maryland and Virginia as well. And then also we have one of our clinical faculty who has a connection with a preschool in the DC community. And so the students get to go into the preschool and provide services as well. And another great thing I think about DC is that we have a consortium, so GW is part of the consortium, where students, if we have many great classes here, but if there's something specific GW doesn't have, you can go to Gallaudet University, you can go to Georgetown and do that as well. So I was a graduate student, I got my PhD at Howard University, and I had the opportunity to take a class at Georgetown, and the same thing here at GW, have opportunities, to maybe take a class at different university around.
Yeah, our students certainly are very active, and our faculty in participating at scientific conferences. We have faculty really presenting around the world and bringing students with them. But most of our students want to be clinicians, and so they're very focused on the clinical opportunities. So here in the DC area, we have over 50 externship sites. We don't have enough students to send someone to every externship site every year, but we have a very broad variety. And then if you wander about our web pages, we list where our students are doing their internships, and you'll see they're all over the country and at really outstanding, remarkably prestigious sites around the world. So, thanks.
We have an online question first, and then we'll take another crowd one.
This is for any one of the faculty members. How do you feel GW fosters an inclusive learning environment for minority students?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important. And one of the things that we've found in our students is, I'm a humble guy and I would talk to anybody, but we found that sometimes graduate students are a little shy talking to faculty and have questions that they don't feel as comfortable asking maybe the director of a program. So we have a mentorship program where we've asked alumni of our programs of all different identities and of diversity to be available as mentors to our students. So we have a mentorship program where if you would like to talk to someone who's been in our program, has graduated, and is in the field, who shares identity aspects that are important to you, we'll connect you with that person. We, of course, have active diversity committee of the faculty and students, but I think having mentorship is really the way to not just make clear that we're interested in inclusion, but supporting students throughout their time in our program.
I think we have a question here at the front.
Hi there. I'm here for speech pathology. I am wondering about relationships students have with professors and clinical advisors. I'd just love to hear what you have to say about that.
All right. I can speak for myself. I'm very new, and so it was so easy to build real great rapport with my students. I think the students are eager and open to relationship with professors, and the professors are open and eager to have relationships with the students as well. We have our set office hours, but we realized that many students were still coming back from virtual world, and virtual is still accessible. So some professors, they allow virtual office hours as well. And then with the clinical faculty, like you're gonna get you have like 3 tracks or 2 tracks. You have opportunities to communicate with your clinical faculties during track and also during their office hours. Yep, and we really have a door open policy. Like you can come in anytime. You'll see that because we don't have windows on our door, we'll just leave our door cracked. So to let you guys know, like we're here, just come in anytime. So, yeah.
Great. Yeah.
The best part of our job, working with students.
Okay, we have another question.
Hi, I'm also pursuing the SLP Masters, and I just noticed that among all the programs that are offered, some of the SLP graduate programs, you receive your Master's in Science, and at GW, you get it in your Master of the Arts. And I was wondering, in terms of the curriculum, how does that vary at GW? Are there specific things that are offered that are different, anything like that?
No, actually, I have my master's in education because that's where the speech language department was at my the university where I got my master's. But our curriculum is the same, right? So we're governed by the American Speech and Hearing Association. So whether it's the arts or the science or ed, you're gonna get it's the same curriculum. Yep.
Great questions. Do we have any more? Yep.
Hi, good morning. I'm just wondering for any faculty member who would like to answer how you feel like GW has supported your own evolution within your fields, whether it be as a faculty member, research, curriculum, however you would like to approach it.
Question. Who wants to take that one?
I'll take that. Because I mean, I've been here for a while. It's a really interesting question. I would say, for me personally, the big thing has been location, in using that to my advantage. I actually got my PhD in carbon energy water fluxes on the North Slope of Alaska, and now I'm doing poverty modeling in sub-Saharan Africa, okay, with machine learning and artificial intelligence, which when I went to school really wasn't a thing. And so I've had to keep up with all that. And how I do that was with students, is I hire smart students who teach me how to do things and how to code in Python and so forth. Because when I went to school, that wasn't there. So, we use that symbiotic relationship. Plus, like I've been able to work with government agencies, private companies here as a professor. They allow us to do that. And so that kind of pushes me to be able to be on the cutting edge and to do this kind of stuff and to change kind of paths. And so, I have the support of the university, and it allows us to do that, and also, go after different grants and projects and so forth. So, and, I'm in a master's only program, and I get these students that come in and I'm like, oh, you know how to do this? Okay, let's see what you can do. And it's pretty amazing, what they can do, and they can teach you along the way.
GW also offers a lot of kind of professional development for faculty. There's course development, there's teaching day, there's grant writing workshops. So there's really an enormous amount of opportunities to develop professionally. The time to actually do them all, that's the issue. But there certainly are a lot of opportunities for us to improve.
Thank you. We have an online question.
Yes, we do. Does faculty work with students' schedules who work full-time?
Microphone here. All our courses in the Forensic Sciences Department are offered in the afternoon, late afternoon, evening, and so most of our students have, can work during the day and then come to class in the afternoon, evening.
Yeah, we are very similar in data science. We do offer some classes during the middle of the day for our full-time students. Most of the time now, with the advent of Zoom and WebEx, it's pretty easy for us to meet with students anytime. And so that is actually, I think it's been a kind of a game changer, is like, somebody's at work or at an internship and they're at their lunch break, they can just hop on a Zoom meeting. And so it's kind of, I think, has been, there's some things in the pandemic that were bad, but some things that are good, and everybody's kind of used to it, and you can just get on a phone now and have a meeting, especially, if it's, for most things, because it's very simple when it's one-on-one. So I think that's really been helpful. And so, yeah, we support that all the time, because a lot of our students do work or have internships.
Yeah, our program is pretty intense because we're not just doing the academic learning. We're working in our clinic and at placements. So we don't encourage students to work full-time. Many of our students work half-time, but depending on the flexibility of their schedule, particularly as you get more and more clinical responsibilities, it's very hard to think about doing a full-time job.
Yeah, same for our department as well. We discourage full-time. You wouldn't be successful in the program if you did pursue a full-time position, because grad school is full-time. So you have your clinic load, you have your academic load, and you have to maintain a certain, that 3.0 average. And so even with part-time work, you want to kind of monitor that as well. Some people have, grad assistantships or TAs, which is fine. Just learning how to balance the clinic, academics, and your assistantship is important. So, yeah.
Okay. Do we have another question? Yep.
Hi, I'm in the speech pathology graduate program as well, and I just had a question about, in the future, we're going to be working in a lot of professional settings where we'll have to communicate and work with other healthcare professionals, and I was just curious on how this program values educating their students on intrapersonal or intraprofessional relationships, and if that's something that they look forward to and like teaching their students about building those relationships.
Yeah, so during your clinic rotations, like you are going to be the one really who takes the lead. So you're going to be the one who takes the lead with communicating with the parents and the caregivers and even with your adult clients. And so during clinic, that's where you get a lot of that preparation. And then you also take a course called Professional Issues, where you get also further preparation. But even in all your courses, that's something that we kind of just discuss, like, report writing and delivering those reports and communicating with, with your supervisors and things like that. But usually really during your professional issues and during clinic, those are when you really get a lot of that teaching. Mm-hmm.
Great. I think we have another online question.
We do for Professor Engstrom. Are there any restrictions to international students in having internships or job opportunities within the U.S. government or D.C.?
So the answer to that is sometimes. It depends on what type of jobs or internships you're going after. Most of the time, you can just work with ISO, the International Students Offices, and you can take care of that and do that. As long as you don't have to be a U.S. citizen to be that, to be in part of the job. And so a number of jobs require U.S. citizenship, especially if you're starting to work in the intelligence agencies and stuff like that. But for the most part, you don't have any restrictions on that. You have to do, I think it's what CPT is what it is, but you work with the International Students Office to do with that. In our program, 75% of the students are international, and so we deal with this all the time.
Great, thanks. We have a question down here.
Good morning. I know some of you had talked about how you don't encourage students to have full-time jobs, and I was just curious if those specific programs offer additional funding for cost of living, or if you have any recommendations for opportunities to find additional funding if they can't afford to have a full-time job.
I guess since I said that. So with our program, students do they do request for a GA and TA. Of course, we can't provide that for everyone. And I'm not also sure of all the financial aid packages that are offered by GW. So that's something to kind of be really department focused, that you would, check in with your department and with the financial aid office. But yeah, so that's all I got.
And I can add to that if you like. So yeah, so funding is really program specific. Okay. And if anyone has any questions about funding, you're welcome to talk with your program directly. The full-time status and versus part-time status, again, that's really program specific. As some of our faculty have mentioned, some have night classes. Some programs discourage full-time just based on the curriculum of that program. And obviously we have two programs here that have a large clinical requirement, which is pretty much almost a job in itself. So, that's something, to talk with your program specifically about. But we do have fellowship staff in our office, and we do have a Office of Graduate Student Assistantships and Fellowships at the university. I think I said that in the right order. And they can help you find funding as well if anyone has any other funding questions. So, and they will be at our graduate fair. So, thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, do we have any other questions? Yeah, great. I think we have about 5 minutes left. So we have two here.
This is not a great question. I'm just curious. For each program, what is the average number of like students like enrolled, and then what is the average like number of students in each class? Like, is it like if you have 100 students in the program, are all 100 students going to be in a class together, or like how does that work in each program?
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Very different. Every program is different. Okay, so literally every, how many programs are there?
Oh, almost 90.
Yeah, so you would have to have 90 different answers. So, and it's, you know, in the case of the forensic science, there's some classes that are, you know, 8, 10 students, others that are 15, 20. Yeah, some are just with people within your field of study. Others have all field of studies. There are general requirements, like criminal law is required by all students, so everybody takes it. If you're a biology student, you know, forensic molecular biology 3, you're the only one that's going to be in that class. I mean, the ones in your specific group.
Yeah, and I think as a college, as the Columbian College, we're one of 10 graduate colleges/schools at the university, and we have around 2,500 students just in our college programs. So we're the largest college at the university, both at the undergrad level and the graduate level. So that really gives you a great opportunity to meet students from other programs. And we do host a lot of events, so you can, you know, branch out from your department and your program and meet other students as well. So.
I can just say one thing. I think what Dr. Podini said is absolutely true, that very often the core classes that everyone takes are larger. In our program, we take about 25, 30 students a year. So the large classes are in the mid-20s. But by the time you're in your second year or taking more advanced specialized courses, it's a much smaller group. So our seminars might be 8 or 10. So they're often very small seminars on very focused topics. So that's sort of how it tends to break down.
Thanks. I think we have time for one more question.
My question is for Dr. Ingraham. So it's my understanding that students start working in the clinic their first year. I'd love to hear more, just a little bit about like the roles, responsibilities of what we would do in the clinic for the first year.
I can be reassuring that we follow the model of sort of see one, do one, teach one. So that a lot of what you're doing in your first year is seeing 1 or seeing 2 or 3 or 4. So your clinical responsibilities first year are observing patient intakes, answering the telephone and responding to clinical inquiries. But as you do that, you're with a more experienced student and with a postdoc. So you're never alone, and I think the most important thing to know is that there's always backup. There's always someone to ask. Toward the end of your first year, you'll be spending more time in the clinic. You'll be seeing patients as they come in. You may be sitting in on some sessions. So throughout the year, you have more and more close contact. And then at the end of the first year, in June, you're assigned your first patients. That's scary, but you also are assigned this very experienced supervisor. And will have a chance to talk with your supervisor before and after every time you meet with a patient. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. So I think we are right on schedule. So thank you to our panelists and our faculty, and thank you for a great audience. So you have around 5 minutes to move to your next session. If you wanted to stay in this room, we have the student panel next. Thank you to our online audience. You can stay online for our student panel in 5 minutes.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. It's fun being here.
started in just a few moments. So make sure you're thinking of those questions that you have, and we will get rolling in just a minute.
Oh my gosh, it does. It is so hard because finding somebody who's actually gonna like.
I must have totally missed it. Like, yeah, I'm like confused. I didn't even know you. I thought you meant you finished undergrad in December.
I did.
And then.
I see.
And then I thought you were taking a break until fall.
What? That's awesome. I actually almost took over your job.
Oh, did you?
Yes, but instead I was a TA for classes right now. So.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for using this part of your day to join us and to hear from some of our current students. As you may remember, my name is Lindsay Dubeldice. I am the Associate Director of Admissions and Awards with the Office of Graduate Studies in Columbian College. And I am joined here by 5 of our current students. We have students that are representing all areas of the university. We have a student representing the Trachtenberg School, Corcoran, Applied Economics, the School of Media and Public Affairs, our anthropology department. So this is really going to be a great chance for you to ask those questions that you've wanted to ask. There's no faculty in the room, no judgment in this room. So whatever kinds of questions that you might have that you just, you're not sure where else to ask a current student, and I'm going to bet that they're going to have an answer for you. So we do want to say hello to our online audience. We are live streaming this session as well. So make sure, for those of you on the live stream, to enter any of your questions in the chat. We do have a staff member monitoring those questions, and we'll make sure to get to those as we go through the presentation as well. So to get us started, I am going to go ahead and have you all introduce yourself. And you're sitting right next to me, so you're gonna get started. So let's hear. We'd love to know your name, your program, and kind of where you're at in the program.
So my name is Toyosi. I hope everyone can hear me. My name is Toyosi, and I joined the program. I'm in the Applied Economics program, and I joined in 2021, so fall 2021. And I actually just finished in December, but I haven't walked yet. So yeah, so I'll be having my graduation ceremony in May.
My name's Ezzy Ameniki. I'm in the Media and Strategic Communications program at SMPA. This is my first year, so this is my second semester, first year. And yeah, I'm from Florida. Anybody from Florida? Okay. Okay.
Hi, I'm James. I'm in the Museum Studies program in the Corcoran School of Art and Design. I'm a second-year student.
Hi, this is probably awesome, thanks. My name's Ananya. I'm a second-year master's student in the anthropology department, and I will be graduating this May, so lots of existential dread going on there.
Hi, my name is Brady Nisestin. I'm in the Masters of Public Administration program in the Trachtenberg School. So if you have questions about the Trachtenberg School, that's what I know most about. And I'm a second-year student. I graduate in May also. Yay. Thank you. Hold your applause, but don't.
Awesome. So I think to kick things off, kind of a general question, but probably something that everybody in this room kind of has going through their brains right now. What was it that kind of originally, made you decide to attend GW? I'm sure you all probably applied to different programs. Maybe you didn't, but what was it that ultimately kind of led you here and landed you in Columbian College?
Okay, so I guess I'll start again. And so I'm actually an international student. I came from Nigeria, and it can be quite expensive as an international student. So GW was kind enough to offer me a fellowship award, so that really helped reduce the pricing for me. So I got into that. That's really was my major push to join the school as opposed to other schools that I applied to. And it was a nice fellowship award. So if you got it, or if you did get some scholarship, that's great.
For me, it started my senior summer. I was doing a Hillturnship, like most people here at GW, and I just completely fell in love with my life that summer living in DC. And I was thinking about, wanting to do a master's program. I studied communications in college, and so I started looking at communications programs in across the country, and literally the media and strategic communications program, like I dove so deep into the curriculum, did so much research on my professors, and that's the only program I knew in my heart where I wanted to go. So like this is the only program I applied to. This is like where I wanted to be, and I'm just like so fortunate to be exactly where I was interested in. So
yeah, I was a history major in college, and like a lot of history majors, I graduated and was like, okay, this was great. Now I need to get a job, and so I was sort of looking around at different opportunities, and I thought that like history museums, thank you, would be like a really interesting path. And so I moved here from New York, and I was volunteering at the Navy Museum here in DC. And like a lot of the people there who like had jobs there had actually gone to the GW Museum Studies program, and they all like recommended it. And so I thought, like, okay, like this is like a really great path. And so I also like sent emails to a lot of the faculty at GW, like before I was even a student here, and they like were very receptive, and they like responded to my questions. And so I could tell that it was like a very good community, and people were very like friendly and wanted to help you out. So yeah, it just seemed like a very good place.
Echo that, like the location was a very big reason why I chose it. The proximity to like international development organizations, and really the research work that my department's professors are doing was a really big push, and the connections that they have in DC and across the country, I thought was a really great reason to come to GW.
Okay, so I'm like the opposite of the second person who applied to one program. I applied to so many, guys. And luckily, I was very excited. I got into a bunch. So choosing to come to GW actually for me was very hard. And I love talking about my journeys, but I'll try to keep it so short. I moved across the country. I was living in Utah before I came here. So big move. I'd actually never been to DC before I was trying to figure out if I wanted to live here. So that was fun. But I think I ended up choosing it a lot because of the location as well. I'm studying public administration and public policy. This is where most of that happens. The access to internships has been awesome. I've had multiple really cool internships while I've been a graduate student here, and that's what I wanted. So it's a big reason why I came here. They also did give me some money, and that would have been a harder decision to make. It was a hard decision to make anyway, based off of like who gives you whatever. And I also talked to alumni of this program and also of other programs, and they were like, hey, being in DC, you're going to get a lot of opportunities that you're not going to get elsewhere. So it was a big reason why I ended up here.
Anybody in the audience or online have questions? We're going to run with the mic.
Hi. I'm sure this depends on the program, but do any of you guys work part-time, and has that been feasible for you?
Sure, so I can start off. Is this working? Oh, there we go. All right, sweet. So yeah, I work part-time at the Phillips Collection. It's like a modern art museum in DC. Like they say that these programs are like full-time, and like they definitely like can take up a lot of time, but in my experience and a lot of other people's experience, you can pretty easily, I think, fit in like 16 to 24 hours a week of part-time work and still like, have some free time. So it's pretty feasible.
Hi. So I was offered like a graduate teaching assistantship as well as some other financial, not aid, but scholarships, I guess. And I was told that I can only get that funding if I'm a full-time student, and then it's just really doesn't sound feasible in my mind to live in DC and also be a full-time student based off of that funding and assistantship. So do you know if that's true, or if I can still be part-time while doing that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so for most of the graduate assistantships, they do require full-time study because they're having you kind of help with courses, and so they want you to be fully enrolled. So that's really, so any of those kind of like specific funding questions are great to ask to your department specifically, or we also have some reps in the fair that's going on after this as well, so that could be a great question to check in with.
And just to add to that, like if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. I mean, a lot of people just see something and then they're like, and then move on. It's like, you know, if you have multiple funding offers from different schools, send them out to your programs and say, can you match this? Or do I have to be part-time? Do I have to be full-time? Definitely just ask that before making your decision. Because those decisions are, you know, we want to work with you to see what fits with your schedule. So.
Hi, I work full-time, and do people ever go to school part-time while having a full-time job? Is it feasible?
Yes. I did not do that, but I don't know how to guesstimate. The Trachtenberg School, so like policy and public administration, maybe about a third of people are like part-time students and full-time working. So you get a lot of people who are taking just like 2 classes a semester, and they kind of keep that consistent throughout and work full-time hours and just take night classes. Most of the classes, I think this is true across CCAS, but they have options at night, like either like 5 to 7, 6 to 8, 7 to 9. So night options are there, and a lot of people just make it work. So it is definitely possible. I don't know if I could do it, but good luck.
Yeah, and I think that becomes only challenging when you are in a program with like a clinical component too. So again, it's sort of program specific, but there are a lot of students who are working full-time and studying part-time across. We have a question online.
Question online, it'll be a double question. How did you go about finding housing in the DC area, and what have you liked and disliked about living in DC?
I can take that question. So I know that DC is like notorious for being extremely expensive in terms of housing, but there is absolutely affordable housing available, especially looking like on the outskirts of the city or like northeast towards like Northern Virginia, and really using like different websites like Craigslist. And I know like there's an admitted students Facebook page where you can also look for housing. These are super convenient. And does someone else want to take the second question? Or?
Well, I love all the free museums. There's tons of free stuff to do. It's a beautiful city. Like, I love just walking around, seeing all the row houses, that sort of thing. There's always something new at the Smithsonian's. They're always changing the exhibitions, and so like, it's pretty hard to get bored. It's like a really happening place. So it's definitely fun to live here. And also, just to add on to the first part about like affordable housing, I would just say like don't overlook Northern Virginia and like Arlington. It's very well connected to the city by the metro, orange, blue, silver lines. Like you can get here in like 25 minutes from places in Arlington. It's easy. So.
Also, shout out to Maryland.
Hi, I was wondering if you guys could each tell us about like what your typical schedule looks like through the week. I'm also curious like what part of the day you spend in class or studying, and you get it.
I can go first. Like, yeah, I wanted to address like as an I don't know if there's a lot of SMPA students in here or media students, but my program, most people work a full-time job or work part-time because I only take, right now I'm only taking 2 classes, but typically I take 3 classes a semester, and they only meet once a week, and typically it's like 6 to 8 once a week. It is so manageable. I have so much free time that I actually would probably get a job if I wasn't doing athletics here. But yeah, I have so much free time in my schedule. But yeah, I would say throughout the day, I just am extremely available until 6 to 8, and that's 3 times a week. Usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then yeah, I've never had a Thursday or Friday class, so long weekends. It's really very different from undergrad. Pleasant.
I would say it's the same as me. I can remember each semester I take 4 classes, and I think out of those 3 semesters I did, I had just 2 afternoon classes that start like 3:30, But every other class is evening classes. So we start at like 6 to 9 or 7 to 9 or 8, depending. So it's very, I had many friends who did full-time jobs actually. So it's very possible. And yeah, I guess it's just to know your classes and choose the timing that works best for you. But you have a lot of free time. Yes.
Yeah, like you can be busy if you want to be, but like it'll be like the good kind of busy where you're kind of motivated and getting things done and not overwhelmed. Like I have 2 classes that meet towards the middle of the day on Monday and Sunday. Actually, it's an asynchronous class. That's rare. And then I also have like an internship that's 3 days a week, and then just the Phillips collection 1 day a week. And so, you know, like it's totally manageable, and like the schedule is very flexible as well.
I would just add, if I can add on. Okay. I worked part-time most of the time throughout. So that was like 25 to 30 hours a week while also doing 3 or 4 classes. So like, I think it does get busy, especially if you're trying to keep up on all your readings and all the assignments and things going on. So like, there is time, especially if you're not working at all. Like right now I'm a TA, I work like 5 hours a week. It's very chill for my last semester and I love that. But if you are working, that's why I think most people either do internships part-time to kind of like further their professional development, or they're working full-time and doing part-time classes. Most of them are at night as well. I take some, I've been intentional about taking some of the afternoons because I like daytime classes more. So I would like, I work, you know, 5 hours one day, then 6 hours another day. Most of my internships have been pretty flexible. And then I try to chunk out time to like, I'm spending 3 hours this day reading for policy analysis, and then this day I do this. So I've felt pretty full with most of what I do.
Yeah, so I have 2 questions. The first question is for to Yossi in regards to the Applied Economics program, and if you have, you know, what your experiences have been, also with the NABE certification and all of the, you know, like economist clubs and all of that, you know, you have membership in after the program. And the second question would be around scholarships for, you know, like any program. If you get a fellowship, like what have your experiences been around getting another scholarship to sort of like, you know, like complement your aid a little bit more, or like help you in paying the program? Thanks.
Thanks. So for the Applied Econ program, we definitely do have, so our director, which I believe her name is Joanne, not I believe, her name is Joanne. So she's very helpful, and you know, she does make sure you get very in tune with the NABE. So they have the meetings, I think, it's very frequent, right? Like every 3 months and stuff, and it's very good for networking. Right now, I work at the IMF, and I got that job based off the fact that, you know, I networked a lot, and Joanne was very helpful. She always sends out openings, always sends out, and also never underestimate Handshake. Handshake is the platform where you see the openings at the Career Services Office. And so the Applied Econ program really helped me to network with these people. And, you know, DC is a place for all this policy administration offices, think tanks. So I think the program really does help boost you and put you out there. And yeah, I like where I work right now, so I guess that's great. I don't know if I answered your question, so please tell me if I didn't.
I did? Okay, thank you. And I think the second part was a question about funding and if finding any additional funding other than what may have been offered at you at the time of admission.
I did not get another funding.
I did get like additional funding from GW, but they're also really good at telling you about external funding opportunities that you can take up. There is like the Office of like Graduate Studies, I think it's like OGSAF. I'm not sure what the full form is.
Office of Graduate Assistantships and Fellowships,
Yes.
who will also be at the fair.
So they come out regularly with like funding opportunities for like different students, different communities and demographics that you can always avail. And generally, like when you build good relationships with your professors, they also tell you a lot of funding opportunities that you can avail in the area.
Yeah, OGSAF has, they have opportunities for current students and then also for like incoming students who are looking for supplemental funding. And then, as I mentioned, you know, departments will usually send out newsletters. I know the Trachtenberg School has a weekly newsletter that they'll list any funding opportunities. The Office of Graduate Studies sometimes sends out any available opportunities. So
There are some resources and things that come directly into your inbox, and then other opportunities that you can kind of look for on your own from the web.
How would you say graduate study differs from undergrad?
So like for me personally, a really big difference going from undergrad to graduate is that you feel a lot more like a professional and less like a student, you know, like a lot of professors, at least in the museum studies program, are on first name basis, and they're willing to sort of put you in touch with people who actually work in museums who you can speak to. They treat you a lot like colleagues. And a lot of the work that you do, you begin to see that it's not just about expanding your knowledge, but it's stuff that like you'll actually be doing in a professional environment. So I'm taking a class right now on exhibition development where we're working with a collection of items relating to Ulysses S. Grant. And we're actually like putting those together into an exhibition that'll be in the Corcoran Museum. And so we have like, you know, like spreadsheets, and like we're working with a design team and like going through what they're proposing to us and saying, no, we don't like that font. And so like you really do feel like it's sort of bridging the gap between like learning content and like becoming a professional. So yeah.
And we touched on this a little bit, but I think the schedule is so different. And I didn't anticipate that, I think, as much. I know your question was about that. Like undergrad, a 3-credit class, you're meeting 3 times a week for an hour. All the grad classes that I've taken in a couple schools are like 2 hours once a week. Okay. Sometimes they're 3 hours, but that's generally what you will see. So, and because of that, a lot of that stuff is pushed to night, so it feels different. Also, the type of work I think I like better. Just a lot of the projects for the classes in graduate school are self-chosen in terms of what topic do you care about. Like I took a data visualization class, and she's like, cool, this is data viz for public policy. Choose a policy area and make a cool presentation about it with all this stuff you've learned. And I'm like, okay. So like you figure it out, and I think that's a lot more applicable to a job and being able to like explore your interest areas and stuff like that. So it is a bit different.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. I have a question for you, actually, Brady. Can can you talk a little bit about like what you thought you were going to learn in like the MPP program versus like what career you're going down right now? Because that's the program I'm in, and I'm kind of hearing like some discouraging things about policy. So I just want to see like what your take on that is.
Love policy. So the MPP and MPA programs are a lot less focused on politics and a lot more focused on how do we come up with interesting, novel, helpful solutions to problems that are facing the world. So that's what I wanted, and that has fit me pretty well. I've chosen to take it a lot, and I know this is only taught my program, so I'm sorry, but you can take like electives there. I have chosen to focus a lot on like skills types classes, like MPPs have to take regression analysis or like decision modeling and advanced Excel work and stuff like that. So that's been helpful for me, and I wanted that out of it. And then you have the other classes that kind of just give you like context into like, okay, what does the international development field look like? What does health policy look like? And those have just been helpful to like kind of expand and be aware of what's happening in different places. So it's kind of a mix of both of those things that I think you learn. I definitely tended a lot more, less context, more skills, because I thought I would learn more context after I get a job.
I was just going to ask, what are you guys involved in outside of like school or work, just for fun in the area?
I can talk on this. So every morning for 4 hours, I am training on the Potomac with the women's rowing team here at GW. We just beat Georgetown and George Mason this weekend, first time in years. So we are the fastest team in DC. So yeah, I spend a lot of time rowing and doing a lot of things with athletics. Then I also do once a week this program called Grassroots, where it's athletes going into the community. I teach sexual health to a seventh grade class every week, and I just love those kids so much, and I just love getting involved in the community. And then every single weekend, like if I have a free moment, I just get out and walk around somewhere because there's always something happening. Like genuinely, every time I get out of my room, like I live on campus, literally I can see the Lincoln from my window. It's insane. Like I'll walk to my coffee shop, Paul's, and then I'm like, oh, might as well stop by the White House on my walk home. Like it's insane. And so just like getting out and like doing anything, like going to the Cherry Blossom Festival, like going to any type of EDM music, you know, concert, like just so much stuff to do. Like I like to really get out and do a lot.
I can try and go forward from that. So I'm more of like a what can I do inside a room. So we do have a tabletop gaming society, and you know we do like regular D&D. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, so every weekend, and then so like a lot of like org fairs that you can attend during the beginning of the semester. You can really like join those, and some of them do accept grad students, which is really great. And DC is also really well connected to like the nearby areas. You can use like the Amtrak, the MARC, the VRE to like do day trips. But yeah, I'm also in a competition with one of my friends to see who can go to like the most number of coffee shops in DC, and I'm winning right now. So if you need recommendations,
I'll talk too. I answer too much. I'm very sorry. So on the nerdy side, the Trachtenberg School has a journal about policy, so I'm publishing a paper in that. So it's kind of cool that like as a master's student, you can publish in a journal. Given a school journal, it's still a journal, it's still published. Don't even. But anybody from any school writing about policy, you're allowed to do that. So I think it's pretty cool. Less nerdy side, I'm more of an outdoors person. So I go to I live in Northern Virginia. I'm in Arlington. So I go to Shenandoah National Park. That's like an hour and a half or 2 hours for me to drive there. And there are other hikes and stuff around here. The Cherry Blossom Festival is cool. There's lots of festivals around. I got super sunburnt at the Kite Festival. That was great. Volo does like sports leagues around DC and Virginia. So like I joined a volleyball team and played sand volleyball with a bunch of people. So I think there's a lot going on, which I really enjoy, and I'm happy that that exists. I feel like there's also a lot of outdoors things which I enjoy that do not exist in some other larger cities.
online question.
Online question for Anya, anthropology program. Can you talk a little bit about your schedule and faculty involvement with the students?
Yeah, so my schedule's pretty busy. So I have like 2 part-time positions, and I'm part of a research team at like our department. So we look at like COVID disinformation and like its spread online. And I think in terms of like class schedule, I generally take like morning classes, and I'm done by like 1 p.m. So it's because like our classes are so writing intensive and reading intensive, like that takes up like a pretty big chunk of my time. So I really don't have a lot of free time. In terms of faculty involvement, I think like the anthropology department faculty is absolutely incredible. Like I could not recommend them enough. And they really take into account like your schedule and like your extracurricular activities, and they're very understanding. And they're always looking to push you and see how you can do better and be better in your field. If you want to stay in academia, if you want to go on to like the private or the public sector, like they have a lot of resources, and they really help you know, help you go towards your goal. So, yeah.
This question is for Brady, I think, and just wondering if you could speak more to those opportunities that you get specifically in DC, particularly for policy programs.
Sure, I can't see your face, but I'm gonna answer you. Thank you for your hand. What have I done? So I interned at the Inspector General's office for the United States Postal Service. Super random. Have never loved mail. Like I don't wake up every morning and I was like, packages and letters, but it was pretty good. Like I enjoyed it. I worked for GAO as well, the Government Accountability Office. So they are actually on the congressional side. So they work for the legislative branch and evaluate federal programs. I did a lot more like evaluation and that type of thing. So that's been nice. So those were like the professional opportunities, and then we had some other ones where I've just met people and been able to like get coffee with people who like work on the Hill, which like was not my goal specifically, so that's okay. I wanted to be more executive, but a lot of friends have worked for a lot of the federal agencies. A lot of people work, somebody mentioned like IMF and World Bank. I know a lot of people work there if you're more in like the NGO type world. So I think there are cool internships that are around. We have an internship newsletter in Trachtenberg that like sends out a bunch of jobs all the time. There's way too many and you can't apply to all of them, but to me that's been really helpful. Our career services are amazing there. I'm sure they're great everywhere else as well.
Hi, I'm Susie. I applied to the public policy program. I had two questions. The first one being, I know GW is very meshed into the city of DC, so how tight-knit is the student community here? And then my second question is for you, Brady. How are the career prospects for public policy or public administration students? And are salaries typically high for those degrees?
I mean, I can talk about the community, like the GW student community. I feel like it's a little different when you're a grad student than undergrad. Like undergrad's a lot more tight-knit, you're living together, like, you know, you go into sports. I feel like, just being honest with you, like when you're at the grad level, everybody has very different lives and we come together at nighttime or during the day. But it's definitely not as tight as undergrad. But granted, I did go to undergrad that was extremely tight-knit when it comes to community. But I think, yeah, the GW culture is positive, but I think that the culture is definitely very diverse. It's very much, where are you working? How can I help you? How can we connect? But yeah, I think graduate level is very different than undergrad when it comes to the GW community. And also in DC, if you want to talk about how tight it is connected to DC, like I feel like we're in a part of DC that's almost downtown, so we don't really see a lot of Washingtonians or that many people. Like Foggy Bottom's a beautiful little neighborhood, but I feel like it's kind of just DC. It's like a little bubble of GW. So I wouldn't feel like we're too much in this. It's not really dangerous or like we're too deep into the city of DC. It's like, it's a nice little bubble.
I think she had a second question.
For Brady.
Okay.
I will take the second question. But other people can talk about the community here. Yeah, I was like, I don't know a ton of, yeah, community is great. I think the university is still coming out, I think, of like COVID, right? And they're trying to get back to the place where they were before then, of having like more student gatherings and things like that. I know you applied to the Trachtenberg School, like they just recently had their first like brunch thing with a bunch of people. Like they're trying to have that more. I feel like during my time that hasn't been the strongest thing. So I think they're moving more towards that. So I would be optimistic for the future about it. You asked about careers. Careers are pretty strong. Like in the public policy and public admin world, I think our career services is probably one of the strongest things of the program. The advisor there, Denise Fowler, she's amazing. You will meet her if you come here because she will make sure you meet her. Like I had a couple job offers already and I've been able to like choose where I want to go. And I think a lot of people have had that out of the program as well. If you want to talk like more specifics, I'm happy to talk after.
Just to add to that, I also, just because, you know, I was searching for job opportunities for a while, and I think the program, my program, Applied Econ, they really do help, like I said, in sending out offers. And I know I had like a summer internship in New York right on Wall Street. And so I know you asked about salaries as well. So salaries aren't really based off of like the program you go to. That adds, but it's also like your work experience. It's also like your GPA and all of those things add to it as well.
Question from online.
Yep, question for James. What are your typical class sizes and are you taking classes with all the same people?
Sure. So not all the same people. It's actually pretty big, I think, for a grad school program. It's around like, can you hear me in the back? Okay, all right. Yeah, it's like 70 people in the entire program. And so you are taking classes with different people. The average class size, it depends on the class. In my experience, they have been probably around like 15 to 20 people. And it's very easy to have a voice in that class and to have a conversation. They're very like conversational, less than like lecture based. Yeah.
We have about 5 minutes left, so if you have a burning question, make sure you get your hand in the air so Melissa knows.
Hello. Do you ever take classes outside your department or interest?
I would love to answer this question.
Me too.
So, like this semester, I decided to take an elective in the School of Professional Studies with the Legislative Affairs students because I like to look at like who's teaching the class because I also do care about like networking. And so that class was called Running for Congress, and it was run by a former Congress member. And that class has quite literally created one of the most like special relationships in my life. And so I definitely, and like he's such a mentor to me now, and I would never, I'm not even in that program, but I'm just so thankful that here, like as an elective, like I'm interested in legislative affairs, so I can take classes in the legislative affairs program. Like definitely take advantage of your electives, take electives that are outside. I mean, I think you should take electives that are outside of your program if you want to, because like this is a master's program like that you didn't have to apply to, but you can take those classes in. So that was a really cool experience for me and really positive. So I would say go for it if you can.
So like in museum studies, you take around 3 classes per semester, and like about a third of your classes can be electives that are like outside of that program. And so like I've been taking like history and international affairs classes, like 1 per semester. Because like GW, I mean, it's such a huge school, and like the IA department in particular here is like massive and extremely good. And so I just thought like, you know, while I'm here, I might as well take advantage of that and just like increase my knowledge of like, you know, the world at large in addition to museums. And so like in undergrad, my content area was like East European history. And so like I took Soviet history, I took like politics in Eurasia, like Holocaust education, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, like going to a school like this, it's an opportunity to like not only like focus on like your professional area, but to really also like just expand your like general knowledge as well. Like it's a good place to explore.
Hi, my question's for James. I was admitted to the Museum Studies program beginning in fall, and I heard that there is a student association within Museum Studies. My question was, how active is the student association?
Yeah, it's very active. So we do, I'm not in the association, but like we have a big group chat with the whole program, and you know they're always like posting things on Instagram and in the group chat about like get-togethers. So like we usually will meet after you know class or something for at like 5 p.m. you know once every couple of weeks. There's lots of like get-togethers where we'll go like ice skating at the National Gallery, that sort of thing. And so it's very active, and like it's student run, and so you know there's elections you can run and then like you know take part in the student association. So it's a great community.
Any more questions from, yep, we got a couple, okay.
One quick question. Has anyone ever taken classes over the summer to like, you know, take the load off during the semester?
I did. They are a little more condensed during the summer, and you generally meet either more often or for longer. I took a pretty intense class during that, so that was harder, I think, than it would have been. But there are summer classes, less variety of classes are offered over the summer in most of the programs, but there's normally something there.
I have 2 questions. The first is, have any of you taken a class at like the Mount Vernon campus, and like how was that compared to like the main campus? And then the second question is, did you have any like misconceptions about the program, like something that you thought was going to happen or you would do before starting, and then did that change?
Anybody been on the Vern? No. I haven't taken classes on the Vern, but I go there 3 times a week. Are you going to take classes there? Do you know if you want to?
My program's only there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's cool, you know, but yeah, it's great.
I was going to say most programs that have classes there are fully based there.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're an like main campus program, you generally don't go there. I've never even seen it, so but I'm sure it's lovely.
It's super easy to get back and forth. They have the Vern Express that runs very regularly throughout the year and even during breaks and stuff. So if you need to come to main campus for something, it's very easy to do so. It's kind of its own like little idyllic setting. It's like it's its own little campus. It kind of looks like your more traditional like liberal arts campus. So it's this nice little reprieve of lots of green space, and there's like sports fields that are out there. And they have library, they have dining services and things like that. I know there's some studio spaces and the forensic science departments out there. So it's a different feel than the Foggy Bottom campus, but it's really easy to get back and forth.
Hi. So my question is, do grad students join any like clubs, or is that more of like an undergrad thing? And for like extracurriculars, is it more of like DC activities that you guys do, or is it like, can you get involved in like clubs in grad school?
So there are clubs that are specifically for undergrads, so you can't join those, but a lot of them are open to graduate students. So I know there's like a Japanese society, and like there's like a food society, I think, where they just try out different foods around DC. And I think some of them do have chapters. Like I know like the Black Women's Health Collective, like they do go to like different chapter cities or schools. But for the most part, I think they are largely like DC based.
And there's like GW trails, like if you want a more like organized outdoor experience, if you're not like Brady and you want to go on your own, they'll like go skiing, they'll go hiking, they'll do different things in the area. So there's also a lot of like student chapters of professional organizations that can then like lead you to like the larger national chapters and conferences and things like that. So it's kind of a variety. All right, so I think that is the end of our session. Thank you all so much for your awesome questions, and thank you to our panelists for your candor and your honesty. We do love that. So next, if you are interested in hopping on a self-guided tour or checking out the Student Services Fair, those are all going to be happening back out towards the main lobby area. But thank you all again for joining us, and thank you to everyone online as well.